This video is a review of a classic video game, and a character from that classic video game appears in this video merely for the purposes of parody, and is in no way, shape, or form representative of the intentions, goals, or opinions of anybody who created the video game or the media that the video game is based on. Be warned that this video does contain some uses of real-world human language. This video may contain satirical references to things that happen in the real world. No offense is intended. So I guess that means any offense is a bonus. Previously, when discussing Ghostbusters for the Sega Master System, I talked about equipping my Cavalier, or Cavaliers, much like someone would equip BIT-01 in the same game. Although I was equipping my Cavalier to travel into the universes portrayed in video games. So of course, when you see a reference to salvaged Melmacian spaceship technology, I must be going to talk about ALF for the Sega Master System. Of course, when I find salvaged Melmacian spaceship parts, the spaceship usually looks more like this, from the ALF comics. But here we'll portray it as it appeared in the video game. ALF. Such an awesome series. I just can't help have that music, especially from the Season 1 theme, running through the back of my head. I just have the urge to hum along with the memory. Hi, I'm Joey, and I'm here with Gordon Shumway, who's not talking because he does not want to talk about ALF for the Sega Master System. What sort of game is ALF for the Sega Master System? Well, this guy doesn't want to talk about it. Let's see. On the back of this it says, "The world's favorite bad boy alien is back on your Sega system. It's ALF, and he's got a mission to get to Mars to visit his friends, Rhonda and Skip. The problem is his spaceship is excuse me. His spaceship is broken, and the Alpha is not about to grow wings." Growing wings would help him fly through space. Well, it's a metaphor. So it has to be fixed. And that's where you come in. Guide ALF as he searches for things needed to fix his ship. Pearls snatched from the jaws of giant clams, space scooter fuel in the darkest caves, spacesuits, costumes, and more. ALF's Sega adventure will take you from the bottom of lakes to the moon, through houses and across a busy busy city streets. I just can't pronounce anything right now. Even my vocal cords don't want to talk about this game. And across busy city streets. Some things you will be able to find, others you'll have to buy. And all the while you will have to keep on escaping from the creepy clutches of the alien task force. You never know where they'll appear. Succeed, and you'll send the Alpha on his way to a happy reunion. Mess up, and the Alpha will stay stuck on Earth. Do you think you can do it? No problem! Players 1, peripherals, Sega control pad or control stick. Let's see. Copyright 1989. Well, let's take a closer look at ALF. If I'd known about ALF for the Sega Master System back when I got my Nintendo Entertainment System, it might have convinced me to get a Sega Master System. course, would I have wanted a Sega Master System after I played ALF? So you start off, you can see ALF's crashed spaceship. You don't often get to see that on the TV show. They show it a lot in the comic books where it didn't really look quite like that, but it has similarities. And if this game is taking place in 1989 or even late in the series, because if ALF is trying to get away from Earth, well, you could think of that as a different ending for the TV series. Sure, the TV series with the alien task force eventually finding him, and then you have the movie Project ALF, or whatever it was called. This video game also gives an ending to the ALF series. It gets ALF off of Earth. And the plot line to it is ALF's friends, Rhonda and Skip, have set up a home on Mars. They're not clear on how they set up a home on Mars, but ALF wants to get there because he wants to do stuff with Rhonda. This is a theoretical simulation, or perhaps reenactment, of what would happen or what will happen when ALF gets to Mars to spend time with Rhonda and Skip. Needless to say, no Melmacians were available for this reenactment. So anyway, ALF finally decides to leave Earth, which it's always been treated as though his spaceship was unfixable. So he's going to finally fix his spaceship. And for some reason he has a space scooter. In the comic books he had a anti-gravity belt which had some sort of polarity pellet or something in it that gave it power. Perhaps the space scooter works on the same principle as his anti-gravity belt. But he can't use it, not right away. That space scooter needs a fuel pellet. Melmacian fuel pellets to power a space scooter. Where would you find something like that? Well, if I remember the old Talking ALF toy, two of his favorite expressions were, "Here kitty, kitty, kitty," and "Let's go check out the fridge." Yeah, so that could be two things to do in the game. Just take a walk right over to the fridge, and oh look, salami. And for some reason ALF is determining that it's going to have something to do with bats. So that means at the point when he picks up the salami, he already knows the adventure he's in for, and it's going to involve bats. And then you can jump up on the counter and grab the cat. Of course, you have to deal with this creepy child molester looking guy. What is he, like? Pretty disturbing looking. What, is he just like grabbing? Huh? Just grabbing it mid-air like he's trying to grab somebody or something. I mean, he looks like a cross between a stereotypical child molester and the previous Pope. Well, maybe it's not a perfect match. Maybe I'm just so used to seeing that Pope joked about on The Daily Show and The Colbert Report that I see him everywhere. But no, it's kind of a match. It's kind of close. I said stereotypical. It's not redundant if I say stereotypical. Disclaimer. This video is not actually claiming any one individual committed a physical crime theirself, but is referencing a guilty system. If the preceding comment was too much for anybody, it seems unlikely they would have been able to handle some of the common comments in the media for the past, couple decades. Anyway, ALF then, what the hell do you do anyway? Okay, yeah, there. You go down the stairs and you press a button and you unleash the cat, which gets rid of the mouse, because if you accidentally touch the mouse or the rat, it's going to kill you. Alright, and for some reason there's the opening to Fraggle Rock in Willie Tanner's basement. Alright, so we'll just take a little trip down to Fraggle Rock and see what the hell's going on down there. Alright, oh, there's the bats. Yeah, we're in the bat cave now. And with the press of a button, you can slap your salami around. And if you slap your salami on the bats, well, it's the only way of attacking them. But it's strangely enough, sometimes when you hit the bats with your salami, it counts as the bat hitting you. And you take damage instead. Which is kind of screwed up. But if you get past the earlier part, where hitting the bats with the salami sometimes harms the bats, sometimes harms yourself, then you got a little less room to maneuver around. You can't really jump because you're up on a higher rock ledge, or whatever the hell's going on here in this cave. Then it seems like the bats can almost hit you, and if you're whacking your salami at the same time, you still hurt the bats instead of the bats hitting you. Alright, for this review I've been playing ALF on the Sega Master System, and of course this is a Sega Master System controller right here. That's actually a really good feeling controller for the era it came from. I usually play my Sega Master System games on the Sega Genesis with the power-based converter, although I do have a Sega Master System. I usually just leave this hooked up. And of course, B is button 1 and C is button 2 when playing Sega Master System games. Playing ALF. ALF was ridiculously hard, awkward, stupid, not sure the proper word for it. When you get down into the bat cave and you start slapping your salami around, the bats will hurt ALF. With the press of a button, you're slapping your salami around, and that'll whack the bats to stun them and make them go away from ALF. However, sometimes hitting the bats with the salami seems to count as the bat hitting ALF. So I got out this, which is an excellent shaped controller. So using turbo, I had definitely an increased rate of, well, it definitely improved my ability to knock the bats out of my way. But it wasn't perfect. Sometimes hitting the bats would still count as a hit against ALF. Now, when you get to a part where there's a ledge, no matter what controller you're using, whacking the bats with the salami when you're up high, the highest ledge, usually counts as hitting the bat. In fact, the bat could be nowhere near the salami. The bat could be about to fly into ALF's feet, and it'll count as giving the bat a whack with the salami. So I tried this. I think this is the exact same controller that came with the Sega Genesis 3, the third model Sega Genesis, and it appears to be made by the same people who made this. And I think it did seem like the turbo is faster on this controller. And that actually didn't help me whatsoever. The faster turbo did not increase my chance of successfully hitting the bats any more than the fairly fast, but not quite as fast turbo on this controller, the Smart 16. When ALF goes whacking the salami around at turbo speed, it does seem to improve his chances of, well, of actually having an effect on the bat, rather the bat having an effect on him. But the one thing that has the greatest effect on whether or not it counts as hitting the bat or the bat hitting you is whether you're on the highest part of the screen or the lowest part of the screen. There's just something weird about the collision detection in that game. So turbo will help. If you're going to make a bad video game, you should at least make it easy. Don't make a bad video game and make it hard. If you're not going to give the game real good quality, then you should at least make it so you can play through it easily. Don't add frustration to disappointment. That's not a good combination. Keep it easy if you're going to not put a lot of effort into something. Right? So anyway, you get to this, I don't know, is it an outhouse or a little mining shack, or why the hell is there a shack in a hole in the tanner's basement? Anyway, you find this shack and oh, it's a gold nugget. Yeah. Alright, so anyway, you get out of the cave, and what do you do with the gold nugget? Well, there's some doors that you wanted to enter, and you're going to need a key. So, since these are doors that are locked, with a specific lock to keep people out, maybe we could just buy a generic key, and somehow that'll get us in them. Yeah, that's a secure system. Alright, let's go to the hardware store, the 5 and a dime, or whatever store has the key. We'll go and we'll find a key. And alright, so we make our way down the street. If we really don't want to get hit by the kid on the, it's either a bicycle or some sort of little motor scooter, if we don't want to get hit by him, we could always just stay on the sidewalk. If the guy from the alien task force is behind us, we could just walk so ridiculously slow that he stays on the screen and we always know where he is behind us. Because this creepy, grabby, whatever the hell he is, oh my god, he's painfully slow just walking away from me. He's not going to reappear on the other side of the screen as long as he's already on the screen. There's only ever one of him at a time, which makes things easy in a way. Although you're going to get fed up with how ridiculously long it is to walk down the street at his speed. So you're going to want to occasionally wander out onto the street and you try to avoid the kid. It's you get 2 lanes of road and one or the other will get you flattened by the kid on the scooter. Because apparently a kid on a scooter doesn't think, hey, look, a fuzzy humanoid. Maybe I shouldn't run over him. So anyway, you eventually get to whatever store has the damn key. And hey, look, there's the ALF book. Are you crying? You're laughing. What's funny about the ALF book? Anyway, alright. So, if we get the key, then we can get the bathing suit. And after we get the bathing suit, we can go clam diving. Yeah, there's this area where if you go through a door, you'll come out on a part of the property where there's a pond or a lake or the ocean. This doesn't really match up with the ALF series TV show very well. There was one time he dug himself a little lagoon in the backyard, but I tend to assume they're not that close to a body of water at the Tanner household. So anyway, you find this place where you go swimming, and you need a swimsuit to go there. Because ALF, who for some reason walks around naked all the time, wearing only, well, his body fur to cover his genitals, suddenly needs a swimming suit. Just won't go swimming without a swimsuit. He has to be properly dressed to go swimming. So anyway, then we go swimming, and look, there's a catfish. This is supposed to be funny. Ha ha ha. Fish that looks like a cat. This diver is actually a legitimate threat. He's actually pretty good at targeting ALF. There's some pockets of air, so you don't suffocate. Well, your main goal might be to get to the bottom of the body of water, to get the pearl from the clam, or oyster, or whatever the hell it is. Well, one of the most important things you can do on the way down is get the pirate treasure. Yeah, there's actually pirate treasure in this game, and you're going to want the monetary value of that pirate treasure to help you get through the game. Eventually you will get to the bottom, and there's a big clam that you take a pearl out of. And now we can go back to the store and sell that pearl for, well, we're going to need that space scooter pellet thing, and perhaps it's hidden in that hole in the basement. So maybe that hole in the basement isn't a porthole to Fraggle Rock. Maybe the Elfer's been vandalizing the basement just to hide his Melmacian technology. If he was hiding Melmacian technology down there, he really should not be leaving the spaceship out in the open where everybody can see it. Kind of makes it look like it just crash landed. So maybe this could be not only an alternate ending to the TV series, but it could be considered an alternate to the TV series. Maybe he must have just crashed, because the ship is still on the garage roof, half busted through it. You'd think they'd want to, I don't know, tear part of the garage roof out or something and let that thing fall down inside the garage so it could be better hidden. That could explain why the alien task force molester guy is out around grabbing people with his grabby hands. Basically see a spaceship. Or, of course, you'd think they'd just call in some sort of special forces to raid the Tanner family's home for alien technology and then come up with some sort of excuse for it later. Alright, but anyway, so we're off to sell a giant pearl, which if we wanted, we could use the money from that giant pearl to buy the ALF book. What's so funny? For some reason, the ALF book is supposed to be funny. So let's check out the ALF book. Alright. Seems to be telling the story of ALF. What's so damn funny about this? I mean, we all know the basic story of ALF. His planet Melmac would have exploded somewhere around 1985. 1986, he crash-landed into the Tanner's garage. ALF quickly adapted to speaking the local language, almost like he's capable of being his own universal translator. Maybe he has a universal translator stuck in his ear somewhere. Something's funny about this book. Okay, what? What the hell? So you went through all this effort, all that struggle, and then they reset the damn game on you. Surprise, huh? Yeah, that's not fucking funny. That's not fucking funny. That's not fucking funny. That's not funny. That's not funny. That's not funny. That's not funny. You don't go through that and reset the damn game. That's not funny. Ah! Anyway, so after going through that, perhaps the easiest way to go through this game would be to just cheat. Just cheat your way through the damn thing. Alright, so we're going to cheat our way through this game. So what's the cheat? Alright, there's a trick here. You have to make sure you pick up the salami before you pick up the cat. At least that's what the internet tells us. Pick up the salami first. Then pick up the cat. Then go into the kids' room. Pause the game. So you press the pause button on either the Sega Master System or Power Base Converter, depending on whether you're playing it on a Sega Master System or a Sega Genesis. We pause the game after picking up the salami first and the cat second, and then walking into the kids' room with the game paused. See, we hold up and left and press our buttons 1 and 2, and then we unlock a whole bunch of items. It's not really every item in the game, but we get a whole bunch of our stuff. Get the damn pearl again. There's the fuel pellet. Alright, so that means we can skip right to the scooter. Alright, but let's just say we didn't put up with the game thus far. What would we have to do to get the fuel pellet without the cheat? Let's take a look. We would have to get to that mining cabin where we got the gold nugget. We'd have to go get the... We'd have to go buy a key. We'd have to then unlock a door. From there we would go swimming and get the pearl from the clam. Then with that we would have the money to get a lantern and maybe a ladder so that we could get across an area in the bottom of that damn cave. And then find another mining shack where we find the fuel pellet. Alright, there's that damn fuel pellet. And that fuel pellet would allow us to... Well, we're not powering up the starship. We're powering up the scooter. And up we go! So, the airplanes are a threat to ALF. That's ALF's main obstacle, is avoiding those airplanes. And well, I guess he's not ready. He seems to be going through the atmosphere pretty damn fast, but I guess not so fast that he's unable to adjust to the pressure changes. Well, really, the vacuum of space isn't as deadly as some media makes it. You don't just explode, per se, if you were exposed to it. You'd explode if you try to hold your breath, because your lungs are not strong enough to hold the pressure of normal atmospheric gases if there's vacuum outside your body. Extreme pressure difference in that circumstance. And that is quite deadly. Kill you quite rapidly. If you don't make the mistake of holding your breath, you should experience the moisture, well, not just on your eyes, but in your mouth, the moisture on the surface of your body and in your body in general begin to boil away. Because in the vacuum of space, water cannot exist in liquid form. It either has to freeze into a solid or evaporate. So it basically affects the boiling point of water. Water can only exist as solid or gas in a vacuum. But if you were rapidly exposed to vacuum and nothing happened to burst your body, like I mentioned, that whole thing about, if you're try and hold your breath, which you don't want to do. Never, if you're about to be exposed to an extreme pressure change, do not attempt to hold your breath. As long as you don't burst yourself by holding your breath, or rupture your lungs by holding your breath, upon exposure to the vacuum of space, the moisture that's free in your mouth might boil away, but the pressure of your skin will keep your blood from boiling, so you don't have to worry about your blood boiling. But you do have to worry about the oxygen content of your blood. And your body should have enough oxygen in it, or at least in your bloodstream, to keep you functional for somewhere around 9 seconds or so. And after that is used up, then you have another about 5 or 6 seconds that you can remain conscious for. And then after that, you're pretty much unconscious. Apparently you don't immediately die after losing consciousness. That's apparently your metabolic processes and a limited amount of oxygen that hasn't been used up in your body, I guess, will keep you functioning for a short time past that, but not much after that. And here ALF is. I guess his Melmacian biology allows him to hold even more oxygen in his system. I doubt it has anything to do with his nose, but maybe. ALF can handle the rarefied atmosphere of being in the upper atmosphere. I mean, the sky's actually getting darker from how high up he's going. And there's some sort of space station here. That's something the Melmacians put there, because it's hard to picture the humans having something like that. And ALF just goes aboard and buys a spacesuit. So I guess he needs a spacesuit to... I don't know what the hell. I mean, he's already been in the vacuum of space. I guess, as said, he doesn't want to use up all the oxygen in his body. So he needs a spacesuit. It seems to fit him, so, I mean, maybe this is something the Melmacians put in orbit over Earth. And we keep going. I mean, what the hell? How the hell would we expect to find spaceship parts just drifting through space with a space scooter? I'm pretty sure this is establishing that we have to fix a spaceship, so this space scooter's not going to be sufficient to get him to Mars. I guess it's sufficient to get him to the moon, apparently. And alright, so what does the moon look like in this damn game? Okay, it looks like a crude drawing. Yeah, that's pretty bad, isn't it? That's pretty bad. I mean, I could kind of understand a drawing like this being used for some things, but this game, it's just too ridiculously silly, I guess. But still, they could have actually come up with a semi-realistic image for the moon. So it's just this ridiculous moon face picture. Well, video games have a lot of metaphoric characteristics. I suppose we could just say this is one of them. This is one of them. Alf landing on the moon is represented by a crude drawing Alright, so anyway, Alf gets to the moon. It's represented by a very crude drawing, which probably made a lot of people angry when they got there. I would assume so. But that's when you find your spaceship parts. Just land Alf's scooter on the part of the drawing that looks like the moon's mouth. And there's his spaceship repair parts. So apparently Melmacian technology has been dispersed throughout the solar system. I guess maybe Melmac wasn't that far away, or the Melmacians were all over the place. Because a repair kit for a Melmacian orbit guard ship? Wow. Right on the moon? Right on the next space object over from the Earth? And so many of them out there that Alf can easily find one with his space scooter? Well, I guess Melmacian technology really is all over the place. So with that, Alf is in his spaceship, which doesn't look the same as it did before. That's okay, everything looks misproportioned here anyway. So Alf, we see Alf going off to Mars, so he can copulate with Rhonda. Maybe Skip, I don't know. So off to see Rhonda and Skip on Mars. Yep. So that was Alf for the Sega Master System. It's a chance to see Alf. I mean, am I glad I got this video game? Hey, it's a chance for me to play an Alf game, so it's not completely useless. Is it a good game? No. And well, what else can we say other than the gameplay sucks? But this is worth getting if you just want an Alf game. You just want something with Alf on it that you can stick in a video game system and see Alf on the screen. You even get to see a little glimpse of his spaceship, even if you just see the most of the back end of it sticking out of the tanner's garage. In addition to Alf's spaceship and, well, the Alf book, which was a bit of an unpleasant prank on the player, but nonetheless at least was something that told the story of Alf. This game does feature some things that could make it enjoyable to an Alf fan. Remember the episode with the cockroach? That was a Melmacian cockroach, which grew large when exposed to Earth bug spray? Well, we don't get a very good look at the cockroach in that episode, but it appears as though this video game does have a version of that cockroach here. A little feature which can be discovered is if you buy a costume, the man from the alien task force will stop following you. You'll be dressed up as a clown. However, you'll then be chased by a dog instead, and if the dog catches you, I guess it rips off the costume because the costume disappears, and then you're stalked by the guy from the alien task force again. And one other thing in this game is there's a fish. I don't know what the fish does. I have yet to discover what the fish does. You can purchase the fish at one of the stores. Maybe in the future I'll manage to figure out what the fish does. But that one's still a mystery. It's Alf. It's cool for having Alf in a game. That's the one good thing about this. It's kind of epic to the story of Alf, because it not only involves Alf. I think the game is killing me. Oh, wow. I think the game is killing me. Oh my. If you like Alf, and you haven't withered to death from exposure to the frustrating gameplay in this, then this is the game for you. Oh my. I don't know what I just breathed in. It could very well be the game withering my life force away, and my lungs can no longer function. Whew. Or maybe I just breathed in some dust. This game is... The only good thing about this game is a chance to play as Alf. You see his spaceship crashed into the Tanner's residence. You get to ride a Melmacian scooter to the moon, no matter how stupid the moon looks like. That's why you would get this game. This game is for you if you like Alf so much. You're not that concerned about fun gameplay. And this game is ridiculously expensive. My copy of this game wasn't all that incredibly overpriced, because I got the one that was missing the manual. It wasn't complete in box. It didn't have the manual. I read the manual online when I decided to get this. The manual's actually pretty cool. Maybe I could print off a copy of it since I saw it on the internet anyway. The manual tells the story of Alf. It even goes into how Melmac exploded, but they based the idea on how Melmac exploded in the manual on a sarcastic comment Alf made in one episode. He claimed that Melmac blew up when everybody plugged their hair dryers in at the same time, which was really supposed, as far as can be told, all indications are that was a sarcastic comment and didn't really meld with some of the other things that were said about the explosion of Melmac. But they never went into too much details on how Melmac exploded anyway, so hey, what the hell. Holy crap! It's the evil grabby bastard from the alien task force! When you were in the orbit guard, did they ever give you anything for dealing with strange threats like that? You had a phase pistol! Damn it. When you see the ending credits, hey, now you know who to blame for this. When doing this review, I was tempted to joke that in 1989, all of Sega's quality control must have went into Phantasy Star 2. As Sega had a lot of really amazing games, and that definitely was an outstanding one. But the Sega Master System really had a lot of really impressive games. And it seems almost shocking to me that ALF would be, such a bad game. And then I thought of a possible reason why when I was considering the differences in the versions of Alien Syndrome. Alien Syndrome being a Sega game, but it did get ported to systems other than Sega consoles. And when noticing some of the differences in Alien Syndrome, and some of the little special bonuses or little extra features or things that were just polished a little bit better to improve the gameplay, on systems that aren't capable of producing graphics nearly as good as the Sega Master System, I actually stopped and think about it, and this might apply to ALF too. Sega every now and then had to rush games. ALF was probably a rushed game. I can't say that for sure, that was the reason for it. But ALF was probably a rushed game. Sega didn't have much third-party support. The era of the 8-bit video game consoles, not counting the early ones like Atari 2600 and ColecoVision, but after the video game market crash, when most people were thinking of switching over to computers for video gaming, and video game consoles were basically losing popularity, Nintendo was some marketing genius, broke through the North American video game crash, and managed to really become a worldwide success. And they were very successful just about everywhere except for Europe, where the Sega Master System would catch on. But Nintendo breaking through the video game market crash gave them the chance to, monopolize the market, and they took that chance. Sega did not have a lot of third-party support. Many games made for the Sega Master System were made by Sega themselves. So there was no doubt a huge need to hurry out more games all the time. when you're the only one providing games for your console, you had better produce them often and fast. So it would stand to reason that ALF was probably a rushed title and didn't get the time it deserved. That's most likely one of the reasons for the differences between Alien Syndrome on the Sega Master System and the version that was made for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Though I cannot say for sure that is the reason. I'm just making an assumption, considering the way the video game market was going at the time. It's only fair to mention that Sega did not work alone on this video game. It was developed by Nexa, but technically that does not mean the game was not rushed.